Uh, Hello, hey guys. So I just finished work, and to be honest, it's been a bit of a shitty day. To be honest, honest with you. But on the other hand, it's almost been kind of a good day in the sense I've been able to psychoanalyze myself throughout the course of the day, and you know what? It feels like everything has just started to kind of fit together and fall into place in terms of understanding this MBTI stuff and INFJ. Although the irony is now, when it comes to me trying to explain what it is that I have come to the realization of, and this constant stream that I've had all day of insights, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Not through speaking anyway. I'm starting to realise that when it comes to trying to convey whatever it is I want to convey through speaking, it never comes out how I really want it to come out. And I'm hoping that if I continue making these kind of daily videos, it will elicit more of a easy state of flow, where what I really want to say will start to come out. But I know that if I wrote this down, it would make a lot more sense, and I'm starting to think that maybe I might start a blog, a written word blog. But anyway, I'll try and explain kind of something briefly. I mean, one thing I've realised today was just how bad I am when it comes to establishing boundaries for myself, and how that's caused me a lot of confusion, and has really kind of made me feel like I've ended up in places and in areas of my life where I don't want to be, and I almost feel trapped. And when I realised this today, I mean, this is something that's been dawning on me for quite a while now, but today I just really felt like I was almost getting to the kind of end of my tether in regards to what I was doing, some of the things I was doing today in terms of work, and I was kind of agreeing to do things when I really just didn't want to be there, or I really didn't want to be doing it. And this led me straight into a hardcore NITI loop, which I've been in, well, up until just before I turned this camera on. And during that time, I suddenly was like figuring everything out, understanding why that had happened, also thinking a lot about MBTI, thinking a lot about all of that stuff. And I noticed that when this happens, my FE expression, social expression, conversing with people and maintaining that, it starts to crumble. It completely starts to kind of almost fall apart, because I just go so into TI thinking mode, introverted thinking mode, and my FE just starts to collapse, and I couldn't be bothered whatsoever to even really talk to anyone today. But when I did, it was, I still do if someone, but it comes out just as almost just kind of like automatic. I just reel it off as some kind of automatic response. There's no feeling there, nothing, really behind it. I'm just, yeah, okay, yeah. Because it's like I'm just so preoccupied with being up here, just so preoccupied, and that's the only place I want to be. And when I'm in that state of mind, in that heavy NITI loop, it's just like socializing, talking to people, even being aware of the outside world. To me, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't really want to pay any attention to it. And this is what started to lead me into extroverted sensing, and which is the INFJ's inferior function. And when I go into this, I notice that this is what happens to me. When I'm in an NITI loop for quite a long period of time, especially if it's one that's been triggered by bad feelings, I start to get stressed, especially if I'm having to be doing something in the outside world at the same time. I can't really deal with it, so I start to become stressed. And when I get stressed, I go into SE. And when I go into SE mode, and which is the inferior function, it's like I really struggle to deal with anything that's happening outside of me. I also seek out, like, I need something, some hit of some kind of sensory pleasure to almost get me out of the, I guess, the being in my head so much, or just to give me some respite from it, or to give me some respite from the stress. And I seem to be going hardcore on chocolate at the moment. I ate like 3 chocolate bars like in quick succession this afternoon when I was feeling stressed, which isn't not normal for me because I am actually eat pretty healthily and I try not to eat sugary laden things. But when I'm in SE mode, I don't give a fuck. Basically, I stop caring about myself. I completely stop caring about my physical needs. I stop caring about what's going on outside. I almost kind of get reckless, but because I'm not good at it, I also become clumsy. I bump into things. I don't really hear what people are saying, and people have to repeat themselves. My memory seems to go bad. Like, someone will ask me something, and then I was like, sorry, what? And I can't. It just becomes really hard for me to kind of clarify things that are happening out here. And it leaves me in a pretty, in a weird state. In fact, when I was younger, this just occurred to me. When I was younger and I would be getting stressed out, I don't do it now because I realise how irresponsible it is, but when I was younger and I would be in this state, I obviously had no idea what was going on. Sometimes I'd get in my car and I would just go driving, but I would drive pretty fast and recklessly, just because I had this just like devil-may-care attitude, and it was almost like I was kind of pushing it intentionally, like, you know, fuck you, I'm just gonna hit this corner as fast as I can. If I spin off and crash, then I spin off and crash. I don't care anymore. It's the weirdest thing. It's not great because you just really don't care for yourself. And if I'm at home and I'm like this, I usually won't go to bed until maybe, you know, I'll stay up until the early hours. And I don't want, the problem with this is it feels compulsive. I don't want to be doing this, and all the time I'm doing it, I know I shouldn't be doing it, and I'm just like, but there's something that is driving me to doing it, because it's like nothing else that is more subtle could surely be, you know, worth considering. And at that moment in time, it's like I just want to push myself to the absolute limit, whilst at the same time knowing that it's not going to be pretty. And again, it causes massive paradoxical kind of issues for me, because when I'm in a healthy state of mind, and I'm functioning, you know, healthily, I am very kind of balanced in terms of getting good sleep, eating good, healthy food, being pretty aware of my surroundings and stuff, and all those kind of things. And I'll even tell people, I'll be like, oh, you know, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that. Maybe you should try, you know, stay off the alcohol for a while. And then if I go into one of these heavy kind of negative NITI loops and then have to find relief through SE, all of that goes out the window. And, you know, the next day I could almost be kind of catatonic, or like passed out, or just like drinking myself silly, or whatever, you know, to get some relief. And it's just like the biggest kind of manifestation of you know, it's just so hypocritical sometimes, because the way I like normally act, and then if I fall into this state, all of that, it goes out the window. You know, one of the reasons I think NI is such, you know, why INFJs can be so hard to pin down, or why it's so hard to try and explain. And I talked yesterday briefly about this sense of not having a self as being an INFJ. And it's all to do with introvert intuition, and the fact that you very rarely see a very pure example of introverted intuition, because obviously it's introverted and it is an interior felt thing. So to be able to see it manifested out in the real world is quite a hard thing to see in terms of how someone is behaving. I know people think they, or say they can pick up on certain ways, people looking into their head to try, when thinking, and the way their body languages and stuff. But I'm talking about actually seeing it manifested in physical expression, because mostly it's manifested through writing or works of art and things like that. And it's why INFJs always appear so FE heavy, because that's kind of the only way they can express themselves to the outer world. But if you want to see what pure introverted intuition looks like when it's being expressed, go and watch a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis in acting, and realise that when Daniel Day-Lewis is acting, he's actually being himself in the weirdest kind of sense, because he is there purely. And he's if you look at interviews when he explains how he creates characters, he does that through pure NI manifestation. And the irony is, in an interview with Daniel Day-Lewis, when he's being Daniel Day-Lewis, that's actually the consciousness of Daniel Day-Lewis expressing through FE and being very kind of quite refined, quite pleasant. But the real Daniel Day-Lewis expressing the dominant function of NI is actually when he's in character, but he's not in character, he is the character. That's why he's one of the best actors in the world, because he can do that. Another way to see NI in pure, undiluted fashion is this guy doing this. Now, maybe you can understand why there is a hesitancy on an INFJ's part to almost express this part of themselves, because it is powerful, especially if you feel like you have strong NI, and that is basically what your life mission as an INFJ is to find some form, some medium where you can safely express that in a way that will make you happy. If you don't, it'll just drive you insane.